Hello. I know I promised you guys that I would come on and do a video about my pre-op class, and that includes the nutrition class that I had, and that was on the 7th. They gave us this book when we started the nutrition class. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying. But it says DCH Regional Medical Center Dietary Guidelines Following Weight Loss Surgery. And they had a nutritionist come in and sit down and talk with us. At first, the surgery scheduling coordinator came in, and she told us that the nutritionist would be coming in and told us that there would be a fee that's not included with your regular stuff. So it's a $100 fee, or it was for me in the program that I'm in. So we paid $100. It was me and one other lady. She was having gastric bypass, and I'm having sleeves. So even though we were having different surgeries, the nutrition class applied to both of us. And she, since it was so small, they let us ask questions, and she would talk to me, and then she would talk to the other lady if there was something pertinent for her to know that may be a little different from me. Then she would tell us that. And I actually kind of liked it. Since there was only two of us in there, it was more relaxed. It wasn't as difficult to maybe ask questions about things that we might want to know or need to know. It wasn't like we had to do it in a whole room full of people. So it was pretty good. But it was $100, and that's not just for the class that day. That covers, she'll see me in the hospital, and then there's 2 other appointments that I'll get to see her at throughout the process in the beginning, to make sure that I don't have questions and that I'm staying on track. And if there's anything that I'm having issues with that I need help with or advice, that I need advice on, I can, ask her. And of course, she gave us her number. So if we had questions, we could call her. At the beginning of the book, it just says general guidelines and tells you things that you want to remember for sure. Is in the beginning, after the sleeve surgery, just remember to sip liquids really slow between meals, and don't drink with your meals. They remind you not to drink carbonated beverages like Coke, Sprite, Diet Coke, anything like that. Seltzer water, flavored waters, any kind of sparkling drinks. That causes gas, and you definitely don't want that. Also, drinking through a straw can cause that. So no drinking through a straw, no carbonated beverages. And to remember that it's very important for you to eat slowly. They just stress that over and over, and to chew. Take small bites when you're on regular food, and chew. Protein's very important, to keep your protein up. Vitamins, minerals, take those each day. I learned during this class that because I'm having sleeve, I can still have things that are like Motrin, Aleve, Advil, things like that. If you have the bypass, you can't have those anymore. I also learned that I won't have to take liquid vitamins. I can take chewable, or I can still swallow tablets, which was helpful for me to know. It said try things one thing at a time as you're going and adding foods, to make sure that you can tolerate them. And you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day and not eat between, because you have to sip between. Sip. You have to get in 48 to 64 ounces of water or liquid per day. You can use Propel, things like that in your water. Everything has to be sugar-free. You need to avoid sugars. It also gave us pages within this little booklet that she went over. The diet stages. The first stage is clear liquids. Everybody kind of knows what clear liquids is. If you've ever been sick, you know what clear liquids is. If you've ever had an outpatient procedure, you know what clear liquids are. If you've ever had a colonoscopy, you know what clear liquids are. Herbal tea, even though coffee is not clear, you can have coffee, just no cream, no sugar. Clear protein drinks, sugar-free Gatorade, Propel, Powerade, as long as it's sugar-free. Broth, I have bone broth. This one's chicken. There's a lemon and rosemary. I've already bought some of this stuff. I don't know if on the back you can see, it's 45 calories. It has 1 carb and 9 grams of protein in it, so that's a good source of protein. Bouillon cubes for broth, if you want to use these to make broth. You can have beef or chicken. I already had some of these because I had a colonoscopy and I was on clear liquids, so I bought a few things ahead of time. You can just do canned chicken broth if you want, but those are examples of clear liquids. Sugar-free gelatin is a clear liquid. When I had my colonoscopy, though, they told me not to have red, so I don't know. But that's not the case with this. You can have any. So those are just some examples of clear liquids. Stage 2 is what's called full liquids, and that's where you're going to be able to add in things like Premier protein shakes is a good example. This one's banana. They have all kinds of flavors. They have coffee or like a cappuccino flavor. They have chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. I've even seen peach. It's just probably whatever the person can tolerate as far as taste when they come home. But it has 1 gram of sugar and 30 grams of protein per serving. And there's 1 serving in this container. But of course you can't drink this all at once. It's a sip, 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 sip. Speaking of sipping, I found these little cups. They're 4-ounce cups. They have 2-ounce ones too, but I got these. It's upside down. Sorry. I got these a while back. They were on sale somewhere, and I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and grab them. I think they were Ollie's. Yeah, that's where I got them. And so I thought they would come in handy, so I did grab them. But I'm going to get some 2-ounce ones too, but they recommend taking a 2-ounce cup. I know this is 4, but a 2-ounce cup, and like pouring whatever you're sipping into that cup and just sip, sip, whether it be water, whether it be protein shake. And during full liquids, you can also have yogurt. This is one that was recommended. 0 grams of sugar, 10 grams of protein. 1 bottle is 1 serving. They're not huge, but you wouldn't be able to drink that at 1 sitting, so you'd have to pour and sip, pour and sip. Also, full liquids, you can have like this creamy cup of soup. It's cup of soup. Some of it has noodles. This is just the creamy kind. I asked about tomato soup in the class because that wasn't listed anywhere, and she said some people can't tolerate it, but tomato soup is okay if your stomach can handle it. So I did ask a lot of questions. But you know, things like this is what's going to be considered full liquids. And during full liquids, you can also include everything that was in the clear liquid stage. You're just adding things. Step 3 is going to be considered blended. This little book gives you a place, like, so you know what to put the start date, like what day you're going to start this. So that's a good helpful tool as I'm moving through this process to have. I can write down those dates and I won't forget, hey, I maybe can try this if I feel up to it. canned chicken or tuna. She brought to the class some of these as a sample of blended food, but it needs to be wet. Like, so when you open this and put it into like a cup, there's no way. I mean, you're going to have to add mayonnaise or, something to thin it down. Like, it'll be too thick to start off with when you're just first trying this. It's what they said in the class. So to make sure that it's wet so it goes down and you don't get choked, because you're really not supposed to drink while you eat. They told us don't drink with your meals and don't drink 30 minutes after your meals. She also mentioned that it's a good idea that when you're adding blended, pureed foods, to try baby food. Peaches, apples. I think this is apples, first apples. You're not going to be able to eat much, and this saves you from buying like huge things of applesauce or huge things of, flavored applesauce, sugar-free, whatever, and throwing it out. And there's lots of varieties of these. You could also do like the vegetables for babies. There's a whole gamut of things that you could use from the baby section. And she said that this is great and a good idea. Just an idea for you. Also, she said that you might want to get Magic Bullet, which I had already bought one before the class because I felt like I was going to need it. And she mentioned ice trays are a good idea. If you want to pre-cook, say, green beans and season them with chicken broth and whatever you want to put in them to give them flavor, and then puree them, you can put them in the ice tray and freeze them into like little individual 1 ounce, it's about 1 ounce, servings in the little trays. Once they're frozen, you can pop them out. Drop them into a Ziploc bag and keep them in the freezer. And when you want to thaw them out or need them, you can have individual servings already done, and you don't have to run puree something, which was a good idea. Stage 4 is mechanical soft foods. It means you can start having meat, but it needs to be finely chopped. Poultry, fish is flaky, so that would be easy. Low-fat cheeses. She mentioned baby bell, like the little cheeses, soft cheeses. Low-fat, soft cheese. Laughing Cow, is that one? Yeah, Laughing Cow has lots of flavors of that. Cooked vegetables. Remember that you're not supposed to have skin. Like, there's all kinds of things. And she said canned fruits with no sugar added at this point would be okay. And then the 5th stage is low fat, low sugar, high protein foods. Moist meats, fresh fruits and vegetables, protein bars, but only 1 per day if you decide to have a protein bar. And it's recommended that when you make a plate, eat your protein off your plate first. That is important because you need your protein. Your body needs the protein. It needs the other things too, but the protein is the most important thing, and you want to make sure you get your protein in. It's what they told us, while we were there. Okay, I'm not going to keep going and going, but that's the general scenario for the nutrition class and what I learned. Just basically vitamins and protein are very important, and you need to remember sip 48 to 64 ounces so you don't get dehydrated at the very beginning, because dehydration can make you really sick, and you don't want that. So it's very important to follow the guidelines that they give you, and they give you a thorough booklet, and it just even is more broken down than what I, have mentioned here. These are just some things that she covered. After the nutritionist finished up, she let us ask questions. We talked about other things. The scheduling coordinator came back in from the doctor's office, and she reviewed everything with us again and talked about clear liquids, full liquids, soft pureed, soft diet, and moving into regular food. So they covered it not only with the nutritionist, but with someone, from their office, to make sure that we got it and that we understood, which I really appreciated. After that part of the appointment, we filled out paperwork. We got our dates for our pre-op testing. Like, I have to go to the hospital on the 13th at 3 o'clock, and they're going to draw blood, do a CBC panel, a vitamin panel. They're going to check for all. I mean, there's so many tests that he marked. It's just my vitamin D, a complete anemia profile, B12, just thyroid profile, a vitamin profile, an acute hepatitis profile, liver profile, liver enzymes. I mean, there's just a gamut of tests that he requested. So they thoroughly check you out before they do the surgery. Also, I signed consent forms. And the consent form that they had us sign covers not just your gastric sleeve or your gastric bypass. It says, and other things. So, like, if he got in there and opened me up and my gallbladder was full of gallstones and just awful, he would just go ahead and take it out. So they wouldn't have to close me up, wake me up, tell me my gallbladder was horrible and I'm going to have it removed later. They'd just go ahead and do it. And in my case, I'm having a liver biopsy done while I'm having the sleeve. Because that's the whole point of me, being on board with having this done, is because I have some issues with my liver. And the biopsy is necessary to see how much damage has been done to my liver. So they'll just do that while they're in there. I'm trying to think if there's anything important I forgot to tell you. I did go upstairs and they took a picture of me, which I hated. I hate having my picture made, but anyway. I'll go on the 13th for all of my pre-op testing for the hospital, sign my consent forms and all that, and then I'll be moving on to the hospital to have the surgery done. I'm going to try to keep making videos as I go. I hope these aren't boring you to death. If you have questions, you can comment below in the comments and I'll try to answer. I'll look through my booklets and my information and see if there's anything that you might have questions about, if I don't know off the top of my head how to answer you. This, again, is just my experience. It's not everybody's experience. Everybody has a different one. We're all different. And I'm not a medical person. This is just my journey and my video diary of what's happening, what they're telling me, how things are going, and how things are progressing. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks. See you later.